There's something strange that happens when you look at the world too closely. Not just philosophically, but literally. A beam of light behaves like a wave until you observe it. Then it becomes a particle. One moment, it's everything it could be. The next, it chooses. All because you were watching. Why does reality change when we're paying attention? And more importantly, what else in your life is shifting under the quiet pressure of your awareness? This is the observer effect, but it's not just physics. It's a mirror, held up to something deeper. A riddle wrapped in photons, and like all sacred riddles, it's about you. In 1801, a man named Thomas Young passed light through two narrow slits and saw something impossible. Instead of forming two neat lines on the wall behind the slits, as you'd expect from particles, light formed an interference pattern. Waves overlapping, as if the light went through both slits at once. But when scientists placed a detector to watch which slit the light passed through, the pattern changed. Suddenly, the light behaved like a particle again. Just by observing it, they collapsed the wave. It's called the double-slit experiment. It shattered classical physics and birthed quantum theory. Niels Bohr once said, "Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real." At the quantum level, reality is not a thing. It's a potential, a cloud of possibilities. And when we observe it, we shape it. Not with force, but with attention. The implications are staggering. It means that reality isn't just out there, waiting to be discovered. It's also in here, waiting to be witnessed. Some physicists took it further. Eugene Wigner asked, what if it's not just measurement that collapses the wave function, but consciousness itself? John Wheeler, another quantum pioneer, described a participatory universe, where the observer is woven into the very fabric of creation. Reality doesn't just exist independently. It becomes real through interaction. This flips the script. We are not detached spectators in a dead cosmos. We are participants, partners in the unfolding of form, which means every glance, every moment of presence, every act of witnessing might be more powerful than we think. But this idea isn't new. Not really. Long before quantum mechanics, the ancients whispered a similar truth. In Vedanta, the self is not the body or the mind, but the silent witness behind it all. Sakshi Chaitanya. Not the thought, but the one aware of thought. Not the world, but the awareness in which the world appears. Hermetic teachings speak of the all, the underlying mind from which all arises. As above, so below. As within, so without. The Gnostics warned of a false creator, a demiurge who traps us in illusion. Only by seeing through the illusion, by remembering the true source, can one awaken. In all these traditions, awareness is not passive, it's transformative. To see clearly is to pierce the veil. To observe is to transmute. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is the inner version of the observer effect. In alchemy, the inner work is about observation, of shadow, of impulse, of archetype, not to judge or fix, but to witness. Because the act of awareness changes what is seen. The dark pattern starts to dissolve when brought into the light. Not because you fought it, but because you finally saw it. In psychological terms, awareness is integration, but in symbolic terms, it's alchemy. The lead of unconscious patterns is transformed into the gold of inner freedom. not through control, through presence. Today, we see echoes of this everywhere. The law of attraction, manifestation, positive thinking. Most are shallow reflections, but still, they point to something. That perception is power, that what we expect, what we believe, filters what we experience. Even modern medicine recognizes this. The placebo effect. A sugar pill, believed to be real, triggers healing. Not chemically, but through belief, through awareness. It's a glitch in the system that reveals the code underneath, that the mind and its mysterious attention alters matter. So the real question isn't whether the observer effect is real. It's what are you observing, and how is that silent act shaping the reality you walk through each day? Here's what's rarely said. Your perception isn't neutral. It's layered with invisible filters. Stories you didn't choose, beliefs you inherited, fears you absorbed without knowing, and those filters are lenses. They shape what you see, what you expect, what you allow. This is the shadow side of the observer effect. Because observation doesn't just reveal, it frames. We don't just see reality. We create the conditions in which certain realities can appear. Not through magic spells or wishful thinking, but through the quiet architecture of attention. What you watch for, you find. What you resist, you empower. What you ignore festers in silence. To become aware is to begin choosing the lens, and that choice is sacred. There's an old Hermetic idea. The universe is a mirror, not metaphorically, but symbolically real. You gaze into it with fear, and it shows you reasons to be afraid. You meet it with wonder, and something opens. It's not that your thoughts control everything, but your quality of presence touches the field around you, not forcefully, not instantly, but like a tuning fork, setting a tone. John Wheeler once said, "We are tiny patches of the universe looking at itself and building itself in the process," which means the cosmos isn't fixed. It's listening, responding, shaping itself around your noticing. The question becomes, what kind of reality are you inviting to crystallize through your gaze? In ancient temples, initiation often began with seeing, not doing, not believing, just seeing differently. A veil would be lifted, a symbol revealed, a hidden chamber opened, not to give knowledge, but to shift perception. The ritual wasn't meant to change the world. It was meant to change the seer. Awareness itself was the portal. Even now, certain mystical practices reflect this. In Dzogchen, the highest teaching is to simply rest in awareness. No effort, no grasping, just the clear, direct seeing of what is and what sees. The idea isn't to manipulate the world, it's to remember your role in it. You are not a spectator of a dead cosmos. You are the spark of perception that helps reality take shape. To observe with reverence is to co-create with the sacred. So what does this mean, really, for your life? It means that your attention is the most sacred currency you have. It's not neutral. It's not passive. It's an act of creation. When you bring awareness to a pattern in your life, to a relationship, a fear, a forgotten dream, you change its field. You collapse uncertainty. You open potential. Not because you force a result, but because you're no longer asleep inside it. To witness is to wake it. This is why certain dreams only change when you realize you're dreaming. Why trauma begins to soften when it's finally held with presence. Why love deepens not with action, but with undivided attention. The observer effect isn't just physics, it's a spiritual principle. a psychological truth, a mystical key, and it's always been in your hands. So now the question isn't just, what is the observer effect? It's this: what in your life is waiting to change, simply by being seen? What if the shift you've been waiting for isn't out there? What if it begins with a single, honest moment of awareness? Not to fix, not to escape, but to witness, fully, compassionately, clearly. That's the initiation. You began this journey with a riddle, particles behaving like waves, reality reshaping under your gaze. But maybe the real mystery was always you, the seer, the chooser, the quiet architect behind the scenes. So here's a simple thread to carry forward. What am I observing, and what is that observation shaping? Hold that question. Let it echo through your day, not as pressure, but as possibility. You are not powerless. You are not separate. You are the witness through which the world begins to remember itself. And that changes everything. Thank you for watching.